left to right aisle. Judy Caracasa, Jerry Coronado, 62 Washington Street, Al Valenti, Peggy Roberts, Jim Lathrop, Dave Hammond, David Labadie, Chris Regan, Joyce Reznikoff, and Todd Brady. They can please come forward to speak now. Yes.
Possibly have 10 people that support the application fee?
No, we do it all. We like to hear. This is the way we've always done it. As all those in favor, and then all those against, and we're going to get through it. If we get, well, I know we're going to be done at 11 o'clock tonight. All right. It will be done. We have. I just called 10. I'll tell you exactly. There are 32 in favor, 45 against. That's the way it is, okay? We've got the first 10 of the 32.
My name is Jerry Candeloro. I live at 62 Washington Street. I actually have 2 properties on Washington Street, and I just want to say I support the project. I love downtown Mystic. I mean, the reason I moved here is because I love being able to walk downtown, walk by all the water, and this just enhances it. So I welcome the project.
Thank you. Listen, we're trying to have a meeting, and if any questions to the chair, you'll have your turn to speak. Well, come next week, come next meeting. We're trying to run this without everyone interrupting, please.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
This will be the 3rd time. Next, we have to come next.
Well, we come every time, don't we?
I'm Dave Hammond, Greenhaven Road in Pawcatuck. I'm also the chair of the Economic Development Commission. The Economic Development Commission hosted the applicant at one of our meetings, and we unanimously voted our support, and a letter of support is included in the meeting report that PCC has, and I encourage everyone to review that. So the EDC advocates for responsible, quality, commercial and residential development that contributes to the grand list growth and local economic development. That's our role. And some of the comments that we're hearing right now, as town expenses continue to rise and state revenue sharing back to towns in Connecticut continues to shrink, growing the grand list has become an imperative. In addition, we hear from residents at budget meetings and at other public meetings that infrastructure improvements such as sidewalks are important. Well, to pay for these budget challenges and to fund these improvements, quality development needs to happen. So the PCC, the EDC urges the PCC and the town residents to support this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Peggy Roberts. I'm the president of the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. I represent about 700 members. I'm also a resident of Stonington, and we support the project. With me tonight are about 6 or 7 members of our board of directors who came to express their support. In addition, several of those who could not be here submitted letters of support. We also have several members of our Chairman's Advisory Council in attendance, and I believe they're almost all in support, if not every one of them in support. We support this measure for many, many reasons, but one, probably the most important to us, is that it will stimulate tourism, increase consumer spending in our area in Mystic, and that's one of the things that we are about as a chamber. We are here to support businesses and to stimulate business to the extent we can. We believe the tax revenue will be very valuable We also look forward to seeing some much-needed green space, open to the public. We do recognize that not everyone is completely happy with the project and that there are some things to be ironed out. But we do believe that the process will address those things and that we can be happy with this project as we go forward. I think it's a great project and we urge you to support it.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Al Valente, 60 Haley Road in Mystic, and I am the chairman of the board of the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. And I just want to piggyback off of what Peggy had just said. I'll try not to be redundant. In addition to tourism, which is our primary mission of the chamber, we're also very concerned about economic development and make sure that that development is sustainable in the years to come. We feel that this project does enhance that type of economic development. The number put out today was that the residents at Smilers Wharf would uplift the local economy, meaning the immediate impact zone around the village of downtown Mystic, by about $300,000. I would submit that is more of an impact than that because of the multiplier effect. We have store owners, restaurant owners, hotel owners, and when they get paid by this uplift, they pass that money on to other businesses. So that's a good thing. Of particular note is the new boat basin. I'm a boater, and I can assure you that the best kind of tourism dollars you want to get are from these mega yachts. These are high net worth individuals, and they spend large. The beauty of it also is that when they arrive and they leave, they're going by water, they're not going over the roads and clogging up our streets and what have you. Mystic is highly desirable by these yachts to be on that circuit from Manhattan, Mystic, Newport, Nantucket, and so on and so forth. But we don't have that many berths. And if we get that boat basin built, that'll add to that.
Thank you.
What's interesting to this, one last point, is that those yachts are not only the spenders, but they're also part of the sites that they enhance in our area. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Chris Regan, 20 Finley Way, Stonington, Connecticut. Used to be on your commission previous years, associated with Old Mystic Village. Basically, I'm happy this project is coming to Mystic, because I think as a lifelong resident that lives here, I think it's a great change for the improvement of tourism. Tourism is big business in the state of Connecticut. They don't want to believe it, but we are the driving force, and we should be considered lucky that we have Mystic thriving for tourism. And you know what? Being here as a lifelong resident in '73, my mother and my uncle developed Old Mystic Village, and at that time, tourism was not the driving force. It is now. And if you're a resident in that area, you already knew it was tourism. And there's people going to be around. We know it's 3 or 4 months during the summer, and everybody basically makes accommodations to do other things if they don't want to be around the crowds. But this, for the boating is tourism. Just like Al just said, it brings people here to spend money. Around the country, commercial real estate's not doing great. But you know what? Mystic's thriving, and we should be happy about that. And I don't think this project is over the top. I think, yeah, there's some things that might have to get tweaked here and there, but overall, it's a benefit to our community. And I hope you guys think about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Hi, everyone. My name is David Labby. I have a marketing and business development company in town. I've been here for over 25 years. I have 3 girls in the Stonington school system. All have braces on their teeth, so, well, that has nothing to do with tonight. I just thought I'd make you feel badly for me. But so I'm in favor of this project. I think it's a smart project. I think it's a good project. I think it was created and run by some really good local people that will develop this for us. This project for me is a chance to enhance the waterfront, to tear down some unappealing structures that I think detract from the landscape. And then two things, to provide growth and opportunities for those who want to work downtown today. But more importantly for me, for my kids to give them opportunities to work downtown tomorrow. Our kids don't typically come back to this area after they graduate. And I think projects like this, when they're able to see a vibrant working downtown, allow them to make choices to live there and work there. So my hope is that we don't really think about or consider what's happening today, but what will happen to them if Mystic doesn't remain this vibrant town of growth. So I appreciate your time, and I hope you consider their application.
Good evening. Joyce Olson, Resnikoff, Old Mystic Village. All the things I was going to say, these nice people before me said it. I love it that it's not outsiders that are developing it. They've lived here. I've known them, both families, for over 40 years. I like that. I think it's very important because they know what we need and what they would like to see. So I am in favor, and I hope you do make it easy for them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next 10.
One more over here.
Oh. So I'll call 10 more while you're just
Am I on the wrong side of the room here?
Yeah. Linda Camella, what is it? Camille, Scott and Peter Zelker, 19 Jackson Avenue, John Rowe, Larry Chester. I can't read some of these. Oh, Phil Bianco, Tony Sheridan, Robert Hannon, and Tim Murray. Okay, go right ahead.
Thank you. My name is Todd Brady. I have a house at 17 Water Street and a business at 31 Water Street on the Groton side of Mystic. My office looks directly across the river at the subject property. I own a marina there, which is in many respects now just a recreational marina because the boat repair business simply was not economically viable. I live right in downtown Mystic. I don't know what my traffic level rating is on Water Street, but I suspect it's pretty low. And I love this town, and I love the congestion, and I love the people, and I love the tourists. You know, I know some people who say that in the summertime, they don't go to downtown Mystic because they can't drive through Mystic easily or whatever. A lot of them live in the neighborhood. We can walk to downtown, and we can take advantage of the fact that the services and the excitement that the town is now seeing, and I've seen tremendous growth on Water Street of restaurants and that kind of thing. And I think that the point that David Labby made about attracting younger people to this area is very, very important. I've had young people come into my office, some of them moved up here from New York City. They have children and they decide they don't want to raise them in the city. And some of them, they say, what you need up here is you need an exciting town. You need things to do. You need things to attract people. And if I look at this group here, and not to disparage anyone, but you know, there's sort of a sea of gray hair. My daughters tell me I'm one of them too, okay? But I think we have to look to the future. And to look to the future, we have to continue to attract young people. And that's an important goal that I think this project will further.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Linda Camilio, and I live in Pawcatuck, and I've lived in Stonington and Pawcatuck for 35 years, maybe 36 or 7, I'm not sure. And also, in the interest of full disclosure, I am the Stonington tax collector, but I am not here to talk about increasing the grand list or any of that stuff. I'm here as an interested taxpayer. I'm a person who is nearing retirement, who no longer wants to maintain a home. I want an apartment. And there's a shortage of apartments for people like me and for young professionals. My daughter is 28, and she works at General Dynamics. And she makes a pretty good salary. She can afford an apartment. I'll admit, I am concerned about parking, and I'm concerned about sewage, but I think those problems are all being worked on. But does the town of Stonington want to keep retirees here? I hope they do, because I want to stay here. And do you want to keep young professionals in the area? I hope so too, because General Dynamics is hiring tons of people, and we need apartments. So if you want to keep us, build places like this development or David Latazori's Perkins Farm. I personally don't know if we could afford an apartment there. I hope I could. But I do know that lots of people in this area can, and there's a need. I have a lot of friends who also don't want to own a house anymore. We want to downsize. 2 years ago, my husband lived and worked in Washington, D.C. When he walked out, he lived in the southeast part of D.C. His apartment had a workout facility, a dog park, a common area, a barbecue area, and all for $1,400 a month. He could walk out his front door, go to Washington National Stadium, and it had access to bike paths along the river, walking paths, skateboard parks, not that he skateboards, thank God. And we don't have anything like that here so far. So I'm hoping we do soon. I support this project.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is John Rowe. I live in Stonington Borough. I can't possibly say anything better than has already been said tonight. I think it's absolutely a wonderful idea. As a businessman, I favor economic development, but I favor it when it's very carefully considered. And I'm pretty sure, I've lived here 20 years, this is one of the finest projects I've ever seen. I think we have to be careful. I think we have to discuss it. I think we have to spend our time and make sure that we get it right. But bottom line, I think it's wonderful. And I think the developer and the team that presented tonight deserve a hand.
Thank you. My name is Larry Chesler. I live in New London. I used to live on Jackson Avenue. I keep a boat at Seaport Marine. I like the area. I think this is, I'm familiar with a lot of things that go on the river. I really support this project. I hope the commission considers the real benefits to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing? Peter Zelkin from 19 Jackson Avenue in Mystic. I want to say, looking at this project for the next, 100 years forward, you got to look at transportation and where it's going. And you might want to think about, people driving one car per person. I don't know if that's the way this world is going with transportation. I think ride shares and things like that are becoming, ubiquitous. And one of the things you might want to consider, as parking spaces become obsolete, possibly moving forward. I support this project.
Peter, could we get your last name, please?
Zelkin, Z-E-L-K-E-N.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening. My name is Peter Healy. I'm at 1 Pausick Point. I've been a resident in this area for about 25 years. I think this project has been very well thought out. I think the professional resources tonight demonstrated and answered all of my questions, and I fully support the project.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Phil Biondo. I live at 183 Cove Road. I'm here and speaking in favor of the project. I see it as a project that's been well laid out. I like the architecture. I believe it provides public amenities, more boardwalks. My son and I oftentimes spend a lot of time walking downtown. I see this as an extension of that. So I think it's been well done. Having the public park there, in addition to public park, I think is nice. And one thing I didn't notice until coming tonight is seeing kind of the shape of the buildings and how cut off the existing warehousing, the spaces are to the public. I see this as this new project, an extension of bringing the downtown into Smiler's Wharf. So I see it as a positive, well thought out project, and I support its passage.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Robert Hannon. I live at 17 Washington Street. I actually live across the street from the proposed project. I support it for the following reasons. Number one, it's going to enhance the use of the Mystic waterfront by keeping a marine operation in place while also adding 1,000 feet of boardwalk, which will allow people like myself and my family to walk along most of Mystic River south of the drawbridge. Number two, it'll provide jobs both in hospitality and the construction sectors, which we could all use for our kids, for our families, and for ourselves. Number three, and you've heard this from people that have been spoken before me, it'll bolster the retail sector. It'll help the businesses that have opened up in the Main Street area. Number four, it's going to provide needed residential and boutique hotel accommodations in downtown Mystic with a self-contained area where they supply all the parking, unlike the other side of the river in Groton. More people will stay, work, and play without getting into their automobiles. Number five, it'll help alleviate the flooding on the site since they'll be improving the aging seawall. Number six, it's going to enhance the property, the grand list for the town, which will help offset the state cutbacks and keep my property taxes hopefully down or stable. In conclusion, I hope the Commission supports the efforts of the private developers who are willing to invest over $50 million of their own money into this project, which will benefit our community. It's easy for people to find fault with this project and to just say no to any change. Change is not an option, folks. That project will get, some project will get developed there. And this one, I think, fits in with the character of Mystic. I'm asking the Commission support these private developers and to approve the requested zoning change. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tim Murray. I live at 12 Geyser Street in Mystic. I just wanted to say I'm very much in support of this project. And, you know, as it sits right now, this property is not utilized to the highest and best that it could be. It's been in front of a few commissions. It's been in front of, and it's been in front of a few Economic Development Commission, and who else was it in front of? Jim, forget. Anyway, and they all approved it. So I think highest and best is this project, and I hope you go for the zoning change. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tony Sheridan. I'm President and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce of Eastern Connecticut, and I'm here in support of this project. I'm here. We have approximately 1,600 companies that belong to the Chamber, many of them in the tourism business, and naturally many of them surrounding the Mystic area. So tourism, as we all know, is a major core of our economic community. Yes, we greatly appreciate the electric boats and the Pfizer and the other industries in the area, but tourism has been our steady economic core. And that's really important. When other parts of the economy goes up and down, the Mystic region is an attractive place to visit. I dare say that we want Mystic to continue to be the tourism capital of Connecticut. We should lend, if we do, we should lend our support to this project. All tourism venues and attractions, to remain viable, must continue to evolve with consumer demands. This proposal will create jobs, increase local tax revenue, complement the region's existing attractions, strengthen the region's offerings, and in doing so, make sure we continue to secure Mystic as a must-visit area of the state of Connecticut. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Maureen, 710 Nanodoink Road. Bob Siglia, Jerry Canarado, Sumner Johnson and 60 Willow Street, Chris Rickson, Blunt White, Eric Courier, Jeffrey Little, 16 Diabetes Street, Stephen Cohn, Peter Helly, and David Latazari.
Good evening. I am Maureen Griffin-Balsba. I live at 710 Knowink Road in Mystic. I'm an interior architect and designer, a female-owned business in Connecticut. I strongly support this project. I believe there really is a need for people who want to live in a downtown environment, as that one woman said, where they can walk to the local restaurants and shops. The positive economic trends that I see in my line of work is that people are opting for a live, work, play sort of environment with access to public transportation. Smiler's Wharf would offer exactly that. As it stands now, driving down Cottrell Street, seeing what looks to be like a condemnable line of buildings is nothing to be proud of. I would like to think that when new boaters come through the train bridge, we would like them to see something as Smiler's Wharf is being proposed and not as it is at the moment. As residents, I think we would want to be proud of something like that, along with, and also the thousands of train passengers that go along that train bridge every day. And they look and they see what we have to offer and perhaps put it in their head that, oh, maybe I'd like to go visit there, or perhaps a beautiful place to live. Connecticut shoreline is aging. We are losing our tax base to our neighboring states, especially Massachusetts. It is facing a business exodus crisis. Stonington home sales are down by 40% from 2018. That should concern all of us. I believe that Smiler's Wharf project will entice people to buy real estate here in Mystic. I feel strongly that the state and our community needs to think creatively about how to attract people to stay and start their businesses here in our community. I'm very much in favor of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Rob Marsilia, 50 Amy Drive, Pawcatuck. So I too am in favor of this project, and I'll explain a few reasons why. So over the last year, I visited 4 other major cities in the United States, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Philadelphia. And in each of those cities, I saw the downtown area experiencing resurgence with some significant new construction that was feeding that vibrant area that I visited. And I'm not trying to equate Mystic to a major city in the country. What I am trying to bring is that the new construction that happens that leads to the resurgence is a benefit to the area that gets that new construction. So I see this as a real benefit to Mystic. Someone asked me at the break why I'm in favor of this, and one of the things that I see coming out of this project is the step change that could happen that would benefit the entire Mystic area and truthfully the town of Stonington. So next, the NDD. So I sat on this commission for a number of years. At one point, I was chairman of this commission. So I appreciate the work that you folks are doing in serving the town in the way that you're doing. It's commendable, and I know how much time it takes. When I was on this commission, I was part of the team that negotiated and ultimately approved the NDD. And while we were debating approval of this regulation, one of our goals was to enable appropriate development and to reduce or eliminate blight. And I think that's exactly what this presentation brings to you tonight, is appropriate development. And I think that's something where you'll have to work with the developer to find that balance of appropriate. But nonetheless, this is a project that should be built, and I hope will be built, and I hope that you'll get that appropriate development and reduce and eliminate blight. So I'll go to that next. The views that will be developed by this project bring depth from the street rather than those white walls of old buildings and tired buildings that are there now. So I think that is part of the resurgence that could happen on the land, on the site. As far as traffic goes, simply put, let the Stonington Police Department and the Police Commission work on the traffic patterns, the one-way street designs and on-street parking to make that part of this project. As far as the demographic goes, I'm currently chairman of the K-12 Building Committee, and what I'll share with you is that the statistics that we heard tonight, I know I'm getting long, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The statistics that we heard tonight are accurate to what we built for the schools. And by the way, we added a couple of extra classrooms to each of those buildings to ensure that there was buffer in case of an uptick in class enrollment. Parking, I think the parking part needs a little bit of clarity. Parking at the Packer building didn't seem obvious, so that needs a little bit of work. I hope you'll be able to come through that. Okay. Lastly, I'll end with this. 15 years ago, when I brought my kids to the playground across the street, I looked at these white buildings and I thought, there's got to be something better we can do with this property. And they're here now with that plan. So I suggest and strongly hope that you'll approve this plan before you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, good evening. My name is Chris Rickson. I lived in the Stonington Mystic area for 20 years and currently work in Mystic. First of all, I wanted to correct Attorney Sweeney. Abby is a third generation Holstein. Her grandfather, Mel, the family still owns the Packer building. He bought that. So third generation Holstein investing in our community. Secondly, I heard words that we talked about 20 years ago, and the words were fabric. Fabric. The neighborhood development district wasn't, hey, there's the house across the street, we'll do 11 acres of those. If we wanted to do that, we'll just leave the same old block zoning in place. No, we had creativity. We had Jason, and we had the neighborhood development district. And what that is going to allow us to do is turn Mystic back into Mystic. In order to change, in order to stay the same, you got to change. Without this tool, we don't change. We keep building the same old beep. 3, Keith, nice job. How did you do that? I couldn't read that letter. I couldn't write that letter. I don't know who the hell wrote that letter. But right now, if I've got buildings 2 feet above the floodplain, I can't be worried about global warming. I can't, because the neighbors across the street, they're at 13 feet below me. They're the ones that should be worrying about it. These guys are solving the problem. And they're talking about solving the problem for the neighborhood with a bulkhead. I'm getting a little excited, thank you. Finally, I think what's important here tonight is to think about what we are talking about. We're talking about taking a derelict site and turning it into the cornerstone of a run that begins with the Mystic Seaport. You walk all the way down the sidewalks, across a nice public park, down into this new development, and you are able to go from one great attraction to another. This is a no-brainer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Good evening, it's Blunt White from Collins Road, and I wanted to talk to you about marina businesses and alternatives. And the marina business of winter storage. Now, winter storage of boats in downtown Mystic is a mismatch, and that's the proposition which is before us. Try something different. And I can tell you what's happening in the marina business, and I urge you to do your due diligence after, is a lot of the good marinas are moving their winter storage off premises, and they're putting it back country where they can do work during the winter on the boats and charge more and pay their employees more and generate more revenue, pay more taxes. And this is an opportunity to get the winter storage out of downtown Mystic and get something in there that fits. And so for that reason, I would urge you to approve the master plan. Now, the other angle of this is about the money angle. And so there's an incremental that was talked about in the fiscal impact study of $388,000 top line gross extra tax revenue coming in before any charges for school-age children. And that $380,000, I can tell you that the Board of Finance approved a budget increase of close to $3 million this year. And so that has to be paid for somehow. And so we have to generate more revenue. And so this is an opportunity for a step forward. And so I support the master plan. Thank you.
Good evening, Steve Cohen, 4 Fallon Road, Pawcatuck. I think it was stated tonight this is the beginning of a beginning. So what we saw tonight is not necessarily the end product, but I would encourage you to look at some key points. One is increased access to the waterfront. This is really important. The second is restoration of the beauty of the coastline. This is really important. And the fact that this takes into account the importance of building coastal resiliency is really important. This is a good project from all sorts of points of view. It's essential for the economic vibrancy of our community, and that point has been made by others tonight. This is a good project, and I support it. Thank you.
Thank you. No, we don't know this guy.
My name is David Ladazuri, and I'm the owner and developer of the Perkins Farm campus. Probably should introduce myself because I'm sure these guys are tired of me. I have been before them probably, I think we should have a standing reservation every 6 months on the dot. I'm just going to come here and talk about something. I just wanted to provide a little bit of perspective because these projects are incredibly complicated. They take some of the best minds in our region and they put them to work. And there's always multiple ways to look at something. And before you even get to this stage, there are so many hoops and hurdles and ladders you have to climb. So many commissions that you have to go for. And this is just the first stop. I feel for these guys because I went through it for 3 years and I look around and I'm actually the only person here with no gray hair. I don't know how that's possible. But I just will say this, is that all these projects are built on conservative upon conservative upon conservative guidelines. These are just kind of metrics that we use to kind of conform and build these projects. And this is the first step. It shouldn't be the last step. It's the first step to kind of fine-tune it and massage it to meet the needs of the community. And I think this community needs this project. I'm building one of the largest projects in this town. And the keystone of my project is a state-of-the-art hospital. And one of the reasons how I got it is I was at Red 36 with the head of this hospital group. And I said, wouldn't it be nice to have your doctors living in this community? And he said, you know what, Dave? It's so incredibly difficult for us to attract the top talent to this neck of the woods because we're trying to get them from the city. And they have a lot of other competing offers. Well, we just signed on some of the top surgeons in the state, probably the country, to come to our facility. And one of the reasons is they want to live in Mystic. Now, I look at this project, and you're basically taking private land and you're making it public because of the public component. It's looking at access from not only downtown, but also from the waterfront. And this site is really one of the gateways to Mystic. And I think what you can see from this presentation is that they've done one amazing job trying to address these concerns. So all I ask is that you give them a shot, you keep the ball going. And as my dad always said, timing in real estate is everything. And I look around and everyone's talking about the next generation. Well, I was one of those guys where people tried to recruit me all over the country to work for them. And my dad had some health issues. And I came back to Mystic. And it was one dark, cold winter. No one was around. And I think when you look at the next generation, you have to provide diversity of housing, services, and all these types of amenities that this type of development offers. So don't just think about the people in this room, think about everyone in the community. I know you do it, you're going to do it, and I applaud you on all your service. Thank you.
David.
Hello, my name is Eric Currier, and I have a small business. Hello, my name is Eric Currier, and I have a small business called Mystic River Cruises, and I make my money with people coming up, coming to see the river. I was born and raised here. I absolutely love Mystic, and I've seen it make some great changes, and I think we need some more. Most of my customers are New Yorkers, and they're constantly walking through this horrid place to get to me, and something definitely has to change without a doubt about that place. I don't know if we have all the answers, but I definitely think the public access area is a great answer. I do see us using less and less cars and more walking. I really see that. My customers see that. And the other thing is that it's not stopping. New Yorkers are here. They're coming constantly. We're halfway between New York and Boston. I really feel that the walkway is the major part of this, which I really think is important and a number one concern to consider voting for this as a yes. And I also want to just make a small suggestion. I do think we need to change our sidewalks, especially like over to the Packer building. And also, I feel we need to open up transportation between the big chain hotels further uptown and create some sort of better way to get there from here with some sort of public transportation. I'm not sure, we need to address that somewhere, but I'm still I think this is a good project. That's it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that signed up to speak in favor that I didn't call? All right, now we would call those in opposition to, what?
Or anybody who didn't.
Oh, anyone, I said who didn't sign up, they would like to talk. No, okay. Well,